everyone, this is Elizabeth, and today I am back with the Cuttlebug. I did a review a while back using the WeBuys replacement plates. Since that review, they are still in business. I just double checked on Amazon, but there are other brands out there, okay? So the measurements you want to look for, okay, and I'll also post this in the link, is 5.9 by 7.6. 3 millimeter for the B plate, 5 millimeter for the C plate. On the WeBuys cutting plates, this is the information they give, and it works perfectly. They are super compatible, and they're like $8 a plate. The cutting plates are a consumable. You use them, you toss them out. These are the original B. It's got a little bow in there, but it still works. The WeBuys, I still enjoy using them. I use them quite a bit. So I saw they were low last month or the month before, so I got some extra plates. I got 2 B plates and another C plate. And I got the magic mat from, scrapbook.com. I'll be sure to post it down below. None of them are affiliate links. It's just products that I've used and know that work. And as you can see, I have used this a ton. And I left the backside clean so we could do a nice run through for you today. Now, normal cutting, okay? We use a B plate. We use our die cut, B plate, paper, die cut, okay, C plate. For the Cuttlebug, every system is different. A, B, paper, die, C. And you can flip it. I mean, you can put it in there any way you want. If you want to do it like that, you can. But I don't like it when I can't see the die. Especially if I'm not taping it down, because if you just saw that, it could potentially move. This is a Doris die. I don't think they're in business anymore, but you can still get their dies all over the place. And I ran it through and I ran it back just so I didn't have to run the whole thing through. And it pops out beautifully, okay? Nice, beautiful cut. And that's fabulous. We don't need the magic mat, right? Well, here's when we do. Because dies have grown. So they're no longer as thick as they used to be. So Sizzix, THINLETS, okay? Same sandwich, same paper, same cutting machine. We're going in. We're coming back, and the frustration of a bazillion people who have the Cuttlebug sets in. It cut one spot. I mean, it's just embossed, and poorly embossed at that. So you're like, but it cuts out beautifully. Yep, it cuts out our bumblebee beautifully because it's nice and thick. The ridges are much higher. These THINLETS, they're beautiful, but they're a pain, right? So then we buy the magic mat. Now, the more you use your magic mat, it kind of smooshes it down a little. So you'll have to put in shims. Your shim will need replaced. 110-pound shim can be used, I don't know, 15, 20 times. Then you have to replace it or add more shim because you've taken that 120 and you've pounded it out and made it thinner. It's no longer as thick as it was. So just remember that. If you're cutting and it's working, and then all of a sudden it's not cutting quite right, add more shim. Don't hesitate. Grab your recycle bin and pull out some papers, put them in there, shim it up. Okay. Now we have our magic mat. It is not very thick. Okay. I don't even think it's the same. Is it the same thickness as the B plate? It could be the same thickness as the B plate. Okay. I'm going to use the new side because I know I need some shims on this side. It doesn't cut completely through on that side. It does have cleaning instructions. So if your machine does warp it, you can put some, I think it's like boiling water on it and it fixes that. I'm just going to flip this around. Okay. I'm going to add that to it. And then we're going to stick on that B or C plate. So we have the magic mat, the die, and the paper combo, and then the C plate. Now we're cutting into the magic mat. Okay. So we want our paper against the magic mat. And that is not going to cut anything. I can tell you right now because you can feel it in your machine. And I just did this and I don't know why I can't remember the sandwich. I think it was B, and B. I think it's the 2 B's. Yeah, that's what it is. The 2 B's. To be or not to be. And this, you're gonna be like struggling to get it through, but trust me, don't have to back it up or anything. Just send it through the one time. Okay. And look at that. Oh my goodness. And those, it's a tight little snowflake, but those do just poke right out. It's a little tedious, but look at the center ones poke out. The end ones poke out. The sandwich is super tight, you guys, but look at, it's fabulous. Look at that. Okay. Well, I trimmed that one, but it cuts beautifully, okay? And that's your thinlet. You can use, let's try the bumblebee. Okay, this is from another one. We'll put the bumblebee on this one with our big fat Doris, and let's try the C plate with this sandwich. Okay, let's try this because I'm pretty sure the magic mat is a B. I'm going in, I'm coming back. That might not have worked because it didn't feel very snug. Yeah, it didn't cut. Okay, so let me, and this is what happens. You know, your sandwich is going good and then one time through it doesn't cut. So I'm going to use my magic mat. I'm going to do the B plate or the C plate again. So I'm going to stay on there. I'm going to grab my C plate. This time I'm going to use a shim. Okay. Because, you know, cranking sometimes is hard. So that was a little bit snugger. Back and forth. And that might have worked. Look at that. Okay. That would not have worked with the snowflake die. Just putting a shim, trust me, you want to just change up your sandwich and add a shim. So like I was saying, if it doesn't cut through and you're like, what's going on? This will find that groove. So if you've done a light cut, you can easily just wiggle that back in. If you want to make sure it stays 100%, just put a little bit of washi tape on there, little low tack tape, whatever you have, and then run it back through with your shim. Okay, so let's do this again so that we can remember what we're doing. And look at that. It just, and when I go to clean this, this is a self-healing mat, so most of that will go away. This is a consumable. At some point, I will have to replace it. It will no longer work, not even with shims, okay? And that's okay, because you can cut so much. I made a wreath. There's probably got to be, I don't know, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20, 30 some leaves on here, okay? All on that cutting mat. That's where all that color comes from. Plus everything else I've done on that. Just insane. Okay, so we have, let me grab my other B plate, because this one does have a little bow in it. I'm going to grab a B plate. This is the We Buys B plate. Magic mat. Our clean B plate. We're going with that there. Okay. And you can use your, I'm going to put the B close to the edge right there. And then I'm going to use that other B plate. Because remember, nope, stay put. The other way we had to use a shim. Now this is going to be super tight, but it will go through. And then we don't have to back it up. We're just going to send it through one way. Okay. And look it. It's just harder to row through, and it picked up the embossing part. Can we see that? So our other way, we're not going to get that embossing, but that way did. Now, this is an embosser, which means normally what I would do is I would put the B back in its little doodad. And I would do a second sandwich. I would do my embossing sandwich. And I would get those more clear and more defined. Okay. Because you can see on this one, it does pretty good, but it does have a little bit of miss right there. I would just send it back through my embossing sandwich. Which for my embossing sandwich, I do... I'm missing a plate. I use my 2 tan mats. Okay. These are Spellbinders tan mats. They're super old. If you have the original Cuttlebug embossing mats, those will work too. Then I've got my B plates. Everything's squished in there. Send that through. Pull it back. Okay. And then our embossing sandwich will just add that detail. And what I would do if I'm making a bunch, ooh, that really got it embossed in there. If I was making a bunch of these, I would cut them all out and then I would send them all through in the embossing sandwich. And see how much more detail that is. Okay. It's a 2-step process. It's not going to hurt anything though. Okay. Or if you like the lighter look, that's fine. Okay, so embossing sandwich for me, because I'm using the tan mats from Spellbinders years ago, is a B plate, 2 mats, the paper, the die, okay, the die, then another B plate, and run that through. And it's a tight squish. You're not going to ruin anything, but it'll be good to go. Now, if it is a tight and you're like, it's not working, you just back it out. Take out a tan mat. Okay. Maybe go with your C plate. Okay. Your C plate and send it through. And you would just wiggle. Now, see, that one's a little too tight for mine, so we won't do that. But what if we did the other tan mat on top? How is that going to look? We do a C and the tan. That one is not tight enough. And that's how you work it. You try different things to see how you can get it to work. That actually did emboss it a little bit. Added some funky texture to it. Okay. So you just have to figure out what your machine is capable of. Not all machines are created equal, even in their brand. So I know that my Gemini Junior, the bars are much closer together than most others, and I have to really minimize my sandwich or I ruin things. For my Cuttlebug, maybe mine's more loose than yours, and you know, one tan mat is more than enough for you. Okay. My favorite sandwich for this, I do have the magnet for the Cuttlebug. So I always use my magnet sheet, the magic mat, and then the B plate. Okay, that's my cutting preference. Let me grab one more sheet of paper. So, I mean, there's so many plates and so many options out there. And see, now it's like it's really magnetized and it's holding my paper, and I'm able to see that this is nice and lined up there. I can get this centered where I want it. Okay, just like so. I put my B plate on, and I'm gonna send it through once and then back it back out, because this way is not as tight as the other ways. And I can say, oh, well, it didn't cut through. Okay. And I know this about my machine. I like my sandwich, and I don't mind having to put in a shim. I'm going to set this on here, and I'm going to let it catch, and you can feel it. It catches. Okay. And because I have it double magnetized, it's going to be just fine. I'm going to grab my 120-pound shim, and this may not be enough. Which one is thicker? Let's try this one. And we'll send it through. Much more resistance forwards and backwards for me, because my lamp is in the way. Okay. And I can see, nope, not quite. Okay, not a big deal. So now we're going to send it through with 2 shims. This is how you test your machine. Does it work better with 2 shims? Do you like it better the other way? I will probably just have to get used to doing the THINLETS in the other sandwich. Okay, but I like this sandwich, so I'm going to figure out how to make it work, right? So then we can peel it up, and I'm not sure if it's not cutting because, it's done more of an embossing. It's really pretty though, but that's not what we want. We want a cut. So let me put the shim, let me put it that way. Let's do it this way. Okay. And what I'm thinking is having that paper stop it from caving into the magic mat might help it. Because, you know, the magic mat is kind of, no. That is not working whatsoever. That is very interesting, though. Okay, maybe it's just because we've overworked this piece of paper and it doesn't like that. However, that's really cool. And then I'm totally going to make a card with that. Okay, let's try this again. So we're going to get a fresh sheet of paper. We're going to do this in one pass, hopefully. We're going to get our snowflakes centered, because I want to use this as a card front. Going to get our snowflakes centered. We're going to grab our B plate. Okay, and then we're going to put our sandwich on top again. And we're going to send her on through. And I'll put the sandwiches. Ugh, that one's tight, guys. That one's, woo. That one's a snuggin'. Snuggie, snuggie. I'll put the sandwiches down below of all that I've used. It doesn't like it. I think there's too much give with the magnet. So let's try this again. Okay. Let's go with our magic mat. That. And we're going to go with our original plan, which was B, magic mat, doodad, and another B. Oops, let's switch out these B's. We'll put the yucky B underneath, and we'll put the nicer B on the top. And I'm going to center that back. Okay. Let's try this. Yeah, I think there was too much give with the metal magnet mat. So what we're gonna have to do, look at that, is I'm gonna have to use my thinlets in this sandwich. So we're gonna do A, our plate or our base, a B, the magic mat, the paper, the thinlet, and then another B. And that was more than enough. And I only ran it through the die machine once. Ugh, look at that. And this is just a all-in-one pokey tool from Spellbinders. Okay. There's lots of companies that have these little things. You can even use a toothbrush, guys. But I saw this tool and I was like, it's on sale. I'll get it. Because the new ones are a golden color. So the blue ones, they put on like a clearance. And I find sometimes if you leave the die in place, you can get the little parts out a little bit easier. And then sometimes not. That one's being stubborn. But we can pop this out. And look at that. So much better than the last ones. Honestly, guys, it's a hit or miss. You have to try your sandwiches. Now, this is my sandwich. We run it through 15 times and then all of a sudden it's not working. We're going to add another shim. We're going to replace our shim. Get brand new paper for the shim. Okay? Those shims, when you start having to add them, you're going to have to replace them. Okay? These snowflakes are going to be so wonderful. And look, I've already started on my Christmas cards. All right. I hope this was informative. I do like the magic mat. Like I said, I've been using it like crazy. It is way easier to use. Thinlets are just a pain. You have to find the right sandwich for a thinlet. Because you saw our Doris, this nice fatty one. It didn't hardly need as much pressure as a thinlet. Okay. So the thinner it is, the more pressure you need to apply. That's when your sandwiches change a little. You grab your shims and whatnot. So if you were thinking about getting the magic mat for your Cuttlebug, it does fit beautifully. And yes, it is scrapbook.com/mat. Be sure to get the one that says for the Cuttlebug. And the dimensions, again, pardon me while I look for the paper I wrote it on. Okay. The WeBuys cutting plate measures it at 5.9 by 7.6. 3 millimeter is the B plate. 5 millimeter is the C plate. WeBuys has a great plastic product, but they label both of these as C plate. Okay, so if you're looking and you're like, well, where's the B plate? Just look at the millimeters. The millimeters is a few cents less than the larger 5mm, okay? But that's what you're looking for. 3mm B, 5mm C, okay? Let me know what you think. And if you've used replacement plates from another company, be sure to post it in the comments. That's how I heard about Craft. I want to say Craft Stash, but I'll post it in the link below. Somebody else let me know. But they are a little bit more expensive than the We Buys. And I don't have them, so I can't test them out for you. Okay, and remember, they're consumables. You have to buy them, and eventually you have to buy them again. I hope you enjoyed, and this was informative for you. And again, check the description for all the sandwiches I used, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.